Bible stories for today, the story of Cain and Abel. In the wake of creation, Adam knew Eve. To this union, two sons were born, Cain, the firstborn, and Abel, his younger brother. Cain, a tiller of the soil, worked the land with calloused hands, coaxing life from the earth. Abel, a shepherd by nature, roamed the hills, his flock a testament to his gentle touch. They were as different as the sun and the moon, these two sons of Eden, yet bound by the invisible ties of brotherhood. Their lives were a cycle of seasons, a rhythm as old as time. Cain planted and harvested, his brow creased with the worry of a farmer. Abel wandered and watched, his songs echoing in the twilight, a melody as serene as the evening sky. One worshipped the Creator through the bounty of the earth, the other through the innocence of his flock. Their offerings, a reflection of their lives, stood before the altar, a silent prayer rising to the heavens. Cain, with rough hands, presented the fruits of his labor, the sweat of his brow mingling with the scent of freshly tilled earth. Abel, with a shepherd's grace, offered the firstborn of his flock, its fleece as white as the clouds that drifted above. The smoke from the altar curled skyward, a fragrant offering to the divine. Cain, his heart heavy with expectation, watched as the flames danced around his gift. He had toiled tirelessly, his offering a testament to his devotion. Surely the Almighty would look favorably upon his gift, a symbol of man's dominion over the earth. But a shadow fell upon his hope. For as Abel presented his lamb, a pure and innocent creature, a spark of divine favor ignited the sacrifice. The flames roared, consuming Abel's offering in a blaze of glory. Cain watched, his heart twisting in his chest as his own offering smoldered, untouched by the divine fire. Jealousy, green and venomous, took root in his heart. His brother's success felt like a personal affront, a cosmic injustice. His face hardened, his brow furrowed, the seeds of resentment sown deep within his soul. The silence of the fields, once a source of solace, now screamed his inadequacy. His sacrifice, once a source of pride, now felt like an insult. The weight of his failure pressed down on him, crushing his spirit under its immense weight. He looked at Abel, his brother, his face bathed in the warm glow of divine acceptance, and hatred cold and sharp pierced his heart. A voice, soft yet insistent, whispered in the depths of Cain's soul. It spoke of envy and resentment, of the injustice that festered within him. It tempted him with thoughts of retribution, urging him to silence the voice of his discontent. God, observing the turmoil within Cain, spoke to him, his voice a blend of warning and compassion. "Why are you angry?" he asked, his words echoing in the silence of Cain's heart. "Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." But Cain, consumed by his jealousy, ignored the divine counsel. He allowed the darkness to fester, the serpent of envy to coil around his heart. He retreated from the light, choosing the solace of his anger over the balm of forgiveness. The world, once vibrant and alive, now seemed to reflect the darkness that had taken root within him. His brother's innocent joy was a searing reminder of his own inner turmoil. The laughter of children, the rustling of leaves, the gentle bleating of sheep, all served as painful echoes of his own self-inflicted isolation. He was adrift in a sea of resentment, the shores of grace receding further with each passing moment. One fateful day, Cain, his heart heavy with malice, approached Abel. They stood together in the fields, the sun beating down on them with an almost tangible intensity. The air crackled with unspoken tension, the silence a deafening testament to the chasm that had grown between them. "Let us go out to the fields," Cain said, his voice devoid of warmth. Abel, unsuspecting of his brother's dark intent, readily agreed. They walked side by side, their shadows stretching out before them, two brothers bound by blood and separated by sin. And in the stillness of that solitary place, Cain struck. The peace of the field was shattered by violence. The earth, which had nurtured life since the dawn of creation, drank the blood of Abel. Cain, his hands stained crimson, stood over his fallen brother, the enormity of his deed crashing over him like a tidal wave. The silence that followed was deafening. The wind, which had whispered through the fields moments before, seemed to hold its breath. The birds, once a chorus of joy, fell silent. Even the sun seemed to dim its light, as if in mourning for the innocence that had been lost. The earth, stained with the blood of Abel, cried out to heaven. The fragrance of life, once so prevalent, was replaced by the metallic scent of death. Cain, his face a mask of horror, tried to staunch the flow of blood, but it was no use. His brother, his friend, lay still, his eyes staring vacantly at the heavens. The voice of God, filled with sorrow and righteous anger, echoed across the land. "Where is Abel, your brother?" he asked, his words heavy with accusation. Cain, his voice trembling with fear and guilt, replied, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" But his deceit was futile. The earth bore silent witness to his crime, the blood of Abel a damning testament to his sin. "What have you done?" God thundered, his voice shaking the very foundations of the world. "Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." Cain, his face ashen, fell to his knees, the weight of his sin crushing him. He had been consumed by envy, blinded by rage, and now his brother was dead by his own hand. The world spun around him, the familiar sights and sounds of his life replaced by a dizzying blur of guilt and despair. The mark of Cain. Judgment was swift and terrible. Cain, the first murderer, was cursed to wander the earth, a fugitive and a vagabond. The ground which had once yielded its bounty to him would no longer respond to his touch. He was to be a restless soul, forever marked by his sin. "My punishment is more than I can bear," Cain cried out, his voice raw with despair. "Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." And so God placed a mark on Cain, a visible sign of his sin, and a protection from those who would seek to take his life. Some say it was a brand, seared into his flesh. Others say it was a disfigurement, a physical manifestation of the darkness that had taken root in his soul. Whatever its form, the mark of Cain served as a constant reminder of his deed, a heavy burden that he would carry for the rest of his days. He was condemned to walk the earth alone, an outcast, forever haunted by the ghost of his brother. Echoes of jealousy. The story of Cain and Abel is a tragedy that has echoed through the ages. It is a tale of jealousy and rage, of the destructive power of sin, and the enduring consequences of our choices. Cain's sin was not just the murder of his brother, but the murder of his own soul, the extinguishing of the divine spark that resided within him. We see echoes of Cain in the world around us, in the envious glances, the bitter rivalries, the petty jealousies that poison our relationships. We see it in the violence that plagues our streets, in the wars that rage across our planet, in the countless acts of hatred and aggression that scar the human experience. The story of Cain and Abel is a stark reminder that we are all capable of great darkness, that the seeds of envy and rage lie dormant within us all, waiting for the right conditions to take root and grow. But it is also a story of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, redemption is possible. For even Cain, marked by his sin, was not entirely abandoned by God. He was given a chance to repent, to turn away from his wickedness and seek forgiveness. The mark he bore, a symbol of his crime, was also a sign of God's mercy, a protection from those who would seek to take his life. The weight of choice. The story of Cain and Abel is a timeless reminder of the weight of our choices. Every day we are faced with decisions large and small that shape the course of our lives and the lives of those around us. We can choose to act with love, compassion, and forgiveness, or we can succumb to the darkness that resides within us. The legacy of Cain is a stark reminder of the path we must strive to avoid. It is a call to action, an invitation to examine our own hearts and root out the seeds of envy, jealousy, and rage before they take hold and consume us. It is a plea for understanding, for empathy, for the recognition that we are all interconnected, all part of the same human family. We must remember that our actions have consequences not just for ourselves but for generations to come. The cycle of violence, once set in motion, can be difficult to break. But break it we must, for the sake of our children, our communities, and our world. We must choose the path of Abel, the path of peace, of love, of reconciliation. The story of Cain and Abel is not just an ancient tale, it is a living narrative, playing out in different forms across the globe. It is a mirror held up to humanity, reflecting both our capacity for love and our potential for destruction. The choice, ultimately, is ours. A timeless mirror. The story of Cain and Abel is a timeless mirror reflecting the complexities of the human experience. It is a stark reminder of the ever-present battle between good and evil, between the light that resides within us all and the darkness that threatens to consume us. As we navigate the challenges of our modern world, let us remember the lessons of this ancient tale. Let us choose love over hate, forgiveness over revenge, and compassion over indifference. Let us strive to be peacemakers, bridge builders, and beacons of hope in a world that so desperately needs it. The story of Cain and Abel is a story that continues to unfold, each and every day. It is a story that we are all a part of whether we realize it or not. The question is, what role will we choose to play? Please like and subscribe at Bible Stories for today.